Welcome to People. I'm Shirley Lin. Today, my guest is John Good, who is the Managing Director of Mercedes-Benz, or Capital Motors Incorporated here in Taipei. So let's talk to John. Hi, John.
Shirley, how are you today? Nice to be with you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Well, John has been in Taiwan for 6 years, and he's here with his family. And actually, he's lived in pretty much quite a number of cities around Southeast Asia. So, Taiwan is quite, how should I say, a very developed city, country.
Yes.
So how does it compare to all these other cities you've lived in? You actually moved here from Indonesia.
That's right.
Yeah, how do we compare?
Actually, quite a vast difference. Actually, I think Taipei, you're totally correct, is really an international city in itself with a very international environment on that side. But I have to say the transition to move to Taiwan was one of the smoothest that I've had.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, unfortunately, it was really hard or something.
No, actually, it was one of really the smoothest transitions to move in.
Really?
Infrastructure here is really very, very good. Mm-hmm. I have 2 younger children, and moving the school education system is very, very good. Here in Taiwan, international education system, very strong in that regard. But I think generally what makes a very big difference is the people. That you have such a warm and friendly and welcoming reception when you come to Taiwan.
How old are your children?
I have a son, he's 10, and my daughter is 8.
They're still pretty young.
Quite young, still quite young.
Yes. Now, you're from Australia.
Yes.
Now, how does Taiwan compare to Australia?
Well, actually, it's interesting. Taiwan, the island, is relatively small. I think approximately 300 to 400 kilometers long and about 150 or so kilometers wide.
Oh, you know your stats.
So but the population around about 23 million. If you compare that to Australia, a very large landmass, a big continent, but the same population. So Australia has 23 million people with such a huge landmass, and we have 23 million people here in Taiwan in a relatively small island. So in terms of population density, there is a very, very big difference.
Big difference. Wow, I didn't know. Okay. Now, how did you get into cars?
Actually, I've always had a passion. Actually, Shirley, I've always had a strong passion for cars.
Yeah.
In general, I grew up. I had the fortunate to grow up with also having some nice cars in the family, etc. But I actually joined Mercedes as a graduate, as a student program. Mercedes-Benz were offering specific study programs, cadetships around the world. I was lucky enough to get into the interview stage in Australia, and there were 7 or 8 of us chosen in Australia to undergo this study trainee program. So 7 young guys together from different states. We all got put in one particular house. We all went to the company, to the studies, etc. Over a 2-year program. So that's how I actually started. Then I was working with Mercedes in Australia for many years in the head office in Melbourne. Then I was transferred to Brisbane in the northern part of Australia, responsible for the sales and marketing for Queensland. And then I was also looking for an international development, international posting, sort of from my own personal interest, but also from a career development. And long story short, I got onto the list and moved firstly to Singapore, and spent 6.5 years thereabouts in Singapore.
Okay.
And so far I've been away from Australia for the last 15, almost 16 years, predominantly in the Asian environment, Asian markets.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What was your very first family car?
First family car? Actually, I don't know whether I should say that. My first family car was a BMW. But actually, in general, we've had with the family also Mercedes. So in terms of the brand, it's been with the family a long time.
So I guess that your father's really into cars.
He also was into cars as well, very, very much.
He knows what
sports
are
cars.
the good cars.
Right.
Wow. So I remember our very first family car was the Volkswagen Beetle.
Yes, right.
Yes, and I've loved it ever since because, you know, the newest model The Beetle is still there. The general shape is still
Yes,
there.
yes,
And I
yes.
like the way they kept
Yes,
it. And
yes.
I don't know. It just brings such good memories, you know. And in fact, you know, you need passwords for whatever I'm using. The first family car's license number. As
Oh,
my
really?
password.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a good number.
Yes, right,
I'm not
right.
gonna
A
say
lucky
it
number,
now.
I hope.
Yes.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
And then our second family car was the Fiat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was all in Hong Kong.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're not too big, but not too small.
They're perfect for Hong Kong streets
Yeah,
and driving,
and
etc.
Right, exactly. And I love, you know, my brother and I, when we were little, we loved to climb in the back of the Beetle.
Right.
We're so small that we could climb into the back
Yes,
with
yes,
the trunk area.
yes,
It's a
yes.
half circle area,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yes.
And anyway, and Hong Kong is famous for its night sceneries.
Right.
And so we'd always, every night, my dad would drive us, let's go for a drive.
Right.
And then we'll climb the back of the car, and then when we get there, we get out of the car and then watch the night scenery, and then we drive back home.
Right.
You know,
Yes, yes.
It's such good memories. Talking about cars, family cars.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think in many your experience, and if you talk really to a lot of people, I think the car somehow is part of the family in that regard. You know, and it stays with the family for a long time. And when you go to trade a car, even from our side, we see the customers that it's almost it's quite an emotional part to trade your old car and take over the new one. But I think the overall buying experience for a car is particularly in the luxury segment is a very emotional experience. So.
You're right. Are you from a big family? Do you have a lot of brothers and sisters?
No, actually, we're from a very small family. Actually,
Okay.
I have one sister.
Yeah. And that's it.
And that's it.
Oh,
That's it.
okay.
So, and our extended family is also quite small.
Oh,
Both
okay.
my parents, interestingly, are only children. So our extended family is also relatively small as well.
I see.
Right.
I see. Well, what do you see about Taiwan in terms of families, you know, coming around to choosing cars? I mean, well, I think Taiwanese families are also small, at the most like 2 children per family. So what size cars do generally you think Taiwanese people go for, you know?
Actually, I think the buying purchasing experience is relatively broad.
Relatively
Broad in
broad.
terms that
Okay.
that there's a lot of different types of vehicles available on the market. What we're seeing also in Taiwan, SUVs, sport utility vehicles, are becoming more and more popular. Four-wheel
I
drives,
think so too.
you're seeing more of these on the road. Many brands are bringing those in. Luxury cars, the luxury segment is also growing here in Taiwan as well. But coming back to the family, it's interesting because I think you see here that the total family is really involved in the buying process. It's not.
Oh, yeah?
It's not just the husband or the father will come in and make the final decision. Very much the wife has a part. The children, interestingly, also have a part. And we see a lot of families, particularly on the weekends, coming into showrooms. That's why also it's important that we have nice areas even for children. So we have some play equipment or areas where the children can also enjoy the whole showroom experience on that side. Also not interrupt the parents, so you can spend more time discussing the features and the reasons why they should buy.
So are you saying that in this showroom right here, you've got an area for children?
Yes.
Maybe a little
yes.
playpen?
Yeah, little play equipment and whatever
Yeah?
for that. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, all right.
So that's also to offer a slightly different experience. But surely it's interesting, I think, from a cultural point of view and really from an Asian perspective, the family, of course, is very, very important. So you can really see that the overall buying experience does involve the family.
Wow, that's interesting. And by the way, right now we're at the Mercedes-Benz showroom in Nangang, which is not far from RTI, from a radio station.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so are you saying that whereas maybe back home in Australia or in Singapore or Indonesia, that it's mostly just the father kind of, walking around and looking at cars instead of bringing the whole family? You think that there's more of this family element in Taiwan then?
I would say definitely
Really?
in Taiwan there is a stronger
interesting.
family feeling
Yeah.
in that regard. But I wouldn't say, surely, that the overall buying is only a male-dominated point.
Yeah.
But of course,
you think times have changed?
Times have definitely changed, and you have a lot of successful female business people, a lot of successful, very dominated areas where you see a lot more female customers coming in, where historically there was more male customers. So overall, there is a very good balance in there in that regard as well.
Wow. So what's the ratio for Mercedes-Benz? Are there more men looking at cars here, like in this showroom, or women? Or about the same? Age-wise? I don't know.
It's in general. Look, it depends on the area and it depends on the demographics. So you'll see sort of more in the capital cities. Of course, there's a mix of male and female. So it's somewhere equivalent in that regard. Still a little bit more male in that regard, because we can only go on sort of finally the purchase and registration information, which is a little bit more onto the male. If you go into certain areas, then it's a little bit stronger male dominated. But overall, there is a good mix in that regard. We actually do events which are very female orientated, so we will invite a lot of our lady customers, female owners to come into.
Purpose.
Right.
Yeah?
To have purely female events, activities. We also do co-branding with companies that are female orientated or female consumer products, etc. Whether it's Chanel or Louis Vuitton or whatever in that regard. So we can sort of put a lot of emphasis onto our female customers as well. So it's not only just a one focus area.
What about age-wise? I mean, what age range for women who are interested in Mercedes-Benz?
That also
Where does it fall?
Yeah, look, that's also a little broad in some areas.
It depends on the
product
model.
And depends on the model. Exactly.
Okay.
So you'll see that, for example, limousines, the S-Class series, the age bracket is slightly higher in that regard. But Mercedes-Benz as a brand and we as a company are focusing very much on new target groups. We have new generation compact cars. A-Class, B-Class, we've just launched in the Taiwanese market, the CLA, voted one of the most beautiful design cars in the world in Germany, etc.
Okay.
So these are focusing very much on younger consumer segments. So to have an experience with the brand, the experience with the company at a much earlier stage in that regard. So demographics are moving more towards younger consumers, but we're still maintaining a very strong focus also on our traditional customers as well.
Oh, okay. Now, you were talking about SUVs.
Yes.
I think, I suppose maybe that's a trend in other countries too, and that Taiwan was probably slow in catching on. But I think SUVs is popular, and likewise, we've got an SUV.
Yes.
I would say it's Korean car, but it's a 7-seater.
Yes.
And it's very comfortable to get into the car and get out of the car because it's higher.
Yes.
Do you think that's why there are more Taiwanese families buying SUVs? These because they're more for comfort.
It's definitely comfort. Comfort is one area. I think you also have more seating room, generally more luggage space, particularly in Taiwan, but in many Asian countries, golf is a very, very important leisure time. So you can fit more golf bags.
The
game,
sport.
yeah, the sport golf, not the car, but golf in terms of getting out. So you see, particularly here, that there's so many wonderful golf clubs and facilities. So a lot of our customers also are playing golf in that regard. So you have the space to put in golf bags, additional sporting equipment. And I think the outdoor lifestyle is very strong here in Taiwan as well. So you have so many beautiful nature parks, the mountains, Yangmingshan, or in the center of the island, Taroko Gorge, etc., where people can get out. Cycling is very, very big here
you have to be
Taiwan.
Able to fit the bike.
Right. So I think from a practicality point of view, SUVs are becoming more popular as well in that regard.
So does that go also for Mercedes-Benz? I mean, that model is more in high demand?
Yes, we actually have several ranges here for Taiwan. M-Class, which is a main SUV, also very, very popular. GOK, which is a slightly smaller, but still an SUV in that regard. And also Geo, which is a much bigger luxury, if you like, the S-Class of the SUVs in the market. So we have quite a broad range available. but all very, very strong and well accepted here. I think also the infrastructure in Taiwan is very, very good, so people can get out and get into the countryside, get into their leisure activities much easier. So then to take all the equipment and whatever SUV is very interesting for people.
That is great. Well, I'm sure you're going to show us a model of SUV
My pleasure.
later.
Of course,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah. Well, is that what you have for your family car? Which model?
Yes,
do you have?
actually, I'm very lucky that I have the opportunity to experience really all of the models in that regard. But I enjoy, particularly if we go on holidays, SUV is my first choice. If in business around the city, probably a saloon is easier. Also for parking. Parking is very tight here in Taiwan, as you know.
Yes, yes.
But in that, or sometimes even the sports models to have a bit of fun. My son is also grown up, and he's 10, but he's a huge car enthusiast as well.
Sure.
So my daughter not so much, but my son is a huge car enthusiast. So as a special treat, sometimes bring home a nice sports car and then take the family for a drive on that. So.
Yeah, talking about your son. So like you, when you were little, you have this, this love for cars.
Yes.
So ever since you said as a graduate student, you've been into cars. So this is where you want to be.
Yes.
In cars.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Wow, you must know so much about cars now. You know when you get into any vehicle, you know the feel of it. You just know whether it's a good car or not, right?
Yes.
This is something amazing about men. Is it just only men?
Do you think so? Look, Shirley, I think it's a fair statement to say that if you look at the cars today compared to 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, there's no. It's a fair statement to say that there's no really bad car.
Okay.
If you look at the technology in all of the vehicles, and a lot of the technology actually was invented by Mercedes-Benz. But if you look what's available in vehicles today in terms of safety, ABS, ESP, crumple zones, etc., all of this is available in many makes. I think what makes Mercedes-Benz as a brand and as a product different in that regard, if you take the overall package in terms of safety, in terms of prestige, in terms of comfort, etc., it's all there. Engineering, and it's very much in line with our brand's motto, the best or nothing. So we tried in terms of the product to have the best product, but also the experience of dealing with Mercedes, the experience of dealing with our people should always be the best in that regard.
Yeah.
So it's an overall package to look how we distinguish ourselves from others.
Oh, that's great. Now, of course, everybody is now caring a lot about energy saving.
Yes.
But this is going to be an issue for centuries and decades to come. How do you foresee this issue here? I mean, we're actually driving a car that uses diesel fuel. Of course, that is better than gasoline. But how do you think, I don't know if you can see already into the future, because this is definitely going to be the biggest issue about cars worldwide.
Yes.
How do you foresee this? I mean, do you know what's in the works right now? What are we trying to use in the future so that we can save even more energy and love this earth, not destroy it?
Exactly. Look, it's a very important topic. And I think in every manufacturer, whether it's automotive industry or manufacturing in general, it's very important that we look at ways to conserve resources, look at ways to ensure that we're not adding pollutants into the atmosphere in that regard. From an automotive point of view, my personal opinion, of course, in Europe at the moment, probably 2/3 of all cars are diesel. Diesel is very popular. Clean burning diesel is very, very efficient in that regard, not putting as much pollutants into the atmosphere. Of course, the topic there comes about electric vehicles.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you think that's efficient?
Electric vehicles, I believe there is a strong potential and a strong future for electric vehicles. A lot of it comes back, Shirley, to infrastructure, to have the right infrastructure to support the electric vehicle process. So some countries are ahead of others in that regard. Some manufacturers are ahead of others. We have, from Mercedes-Benz, a lot of research. We have, for example, our small compact car, the Smart, which is also available in an electric concept.
How does that
in
sell?
That regard.
Good?
We don't have that available in Taiwan, but it's internationally is an important product for the range, important area for us to grow ahead. In terms of biofuels, etc., fuel cell, this is all coming for the future. But there is a lot of resources that are and a lot of technology that's available now, but it's whether the market is ready to accept that overall.
I see. Can you run fast with electric cars?
Very fast.
Yeah?
In actual fact,
okay.
and the electric car, actually I was at a smart conference last year, and we were driving the electric vehicle, but the take-up rate of the smart is incredible. It's actually even quicker because you have direct energy transfer to the wheels in that regard. The point is, but it's super quiet. So you don't have of course you don't have the engine sound.
Yeah.
But in terms you have this immediate instantaneous response, but super quiet.
Yeah. Because I think for people who love cars, who love driving, speed is one thing,
Right.
and then the other thing is the noise.
Yeah, look,
the turbo.
Right. The sound of vehicles also is very impressive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so what do you think about Taiwanese people? Do you think Taiwanese people understands car very well? What's your personal opinion?
Well, that's
No, really.
very broad question, Shirley.
I don't know. In general, what
Yes.
do you think?
Look, I think you could take the same answer in many countries. I suppose either you really enjoy cars, you're an enthusiast, you understand what is the emotion behind that. Some people love it. There are other people that can be very blasé, very mediocre. A car is a car, and that is it. It's a form of transportation.
Yeah.
But I think overall, it's as we said really earlier. It's an emotional part. So I think a car forms a little bit about your personality in that regard. A car sort of signifies sort of where what you believe in terms where you want to where you position the overall yourself. In terms what you want to use the car for in that regard, it's a very broad basis.
It is. Yeah, there are a lot of factors you have to think about, but personally, I guess it really has to do with personality because
Yes.
sometimes I see some cars on the streets and I'm going like, I would never get a car like that, or why would he think about getting a car whereas I think he would have been better at getting this other car.
Right.
But I guess it is.
Look, at the end, I think, right. Look, practicality.
And price maybe.
Of
Because
course,
maybe that's
yeah.
a cheaper car, so.
Of course. I mean, I think people firstly practicality, then your emotion comes into it, and then what do you want to spend on a vehicle in general. But I think that in terms. What is interesting, there's a lot of manufacturers, there's a lot of brands represented in Taiwan. The luxury segment is growing.
It's growing.
Very strongly. You're seeing a lot of cars on the road here in that regard, and a lot of new cars on the road as well.
Does that mean the Taiwanese people are getting richer?
Look, business. I mean, it's all again related to the economy. It's people are spending money. Definitely.
People are enjoying life.
Right.
More.
Right.
Now, right?
And that's actually also another very good point. I mean, lifestyle aspect. We said, getting out into the countryside. Also, a car somehow represents, as you say, a little bit of the personality in that regard. So overall, an expression of who you are, what you believe in that regard. So there is a lot of new cars on the market. Yes.
Yes. I have a question. It's a very general question, but what's your definition of a luxury car?
Well,
Your
yes.
own definition of a
Yes.
luxury car.
Yeah, look, actually, luxury can mean many things to many people, to be honest.
What about to you?
To me, I think luxury, obviously, number one, represents very high quality, superior quality in that regard. Luxury also represents, into a point, the status of the brand in that regard. I think also luxury can mean in terms how the services behind are provided in that regard. So it is broad in many ways, and luxury to one person may not really mean luxury to another person. But Mercedes-Benz is definitely a luxury brand. in that regard. But also it's a brand that we want to also move into newer segments, newer consumer groups. So we don't necessarily position everything as an upper luxury product. Also, but it must be premium. Premium in terms of product, premium in terms of the services we provide, premium in terms of the backup, etc., and premium in terms of the experience that you have overall when dealing anywhere with the brand. And when you test drive as well, of course. Test drive is a very important part of the buying process, to experience the product, to experience the brand as well. I think one of the best ways to appreciate a product, and particularly Mercedes, is to test drive the car, to really have that experience, and then you can see what it really is all about. And a good test drive explaining all the features, explaining all the product benefits is a good way for a consumer to understand what are they really buying.
Wow. What's the biggest reason for Taiwanese consumers to buy Mercedes-Benz? Yeah, what have you discovered?
Yes, Shirley, again, it depends on the segment. In
you
that
mean
regard.
like what model?
Right. In terms, I think the S-Class is very much a symbol. It has a lot of presence overall. But I
you
think
have the highest demand in that segment?
Yeah, we're the leaders in the upper segments very clearly. But of course, there are many reasons. Safety can be one prime reason.
That's probably like the top most important reason.
It is really, yes, and Mercedes-Benz in terms of safety and design is high up there. It's very, very important. Overall design of the product in terms of how the feature fits into the lifestyle and the reflecting the personality is very important. What we said earlier with economy, that's also a very important buying motivation for many people. So there are many. And then luxury as well, the comfort of really being into a lovely car, relaxing, feeling safe, feeling secure, and also having the right image and design is also many reasons why an image. Yes.
Which it kind of equals to status.
Right. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. What plans do you have for the Mercedes-Benz market in Taiwan?
Of course, we have really some big plans. The most important is to continue to grow in the market in Taiwan. Taiwan is a very important market for us as a retailer here. We have introducing a lot of new products. We have the new E-Class coming out very, very shortly.
Oh, what is that?
That's a mid-range compact, mid-range saloon in that regard. But this will also is one of the core products for the range. So in terms looking to grow in the market, ensure that we have as a company the highest levels of customer satisfaction, the highest levels of sales satisfaction, the highest levels of after-sales care for our customers. But very importantly is to ensure that we have really a unique buying experience, the best buying experience that you can have. Great product, great brand, but also to have really a very strong emotional buying experience for the consumer.
So I understand that you're trying to target a different group of people. So is it the younger people?
Yes, the product range is going into younger consumer segments. The new A-Class, very successful, internationally very, very successful, also very successful here with our dealership. And that's targeting, of course, younger consumers to the brand, the B-Class, CLA. So we do have a lot of younger products coming into the market that we can focus on newer consumer groups as well. So away from the say the image where Mercedes is an older product and family sedan or a older luxury sedan, to coming into really a youthful design concept, youthful product, but also, and the way we actually sell that. So we have also younger salespeople. We spent a lot of time employing training. We have our own training academy where we're training younger people, really from the Taiwanese perspective, young Taiwanese, put them into a 6 months training program here in Taiwan.
That's like how you started?
Yes, actually very much the same. So I take a little bit of that concept, So what we're doing here to have really to invest back into the Taiwanese economy in that regard, to train younger people into the organization, and also then the younger sales teams also could relate to the younger potential customers as well in that regard. So the overall direction is to move more into the younger consumer groups as well.
That's great. You're talking about young unmarried or young married couples?
Both. It doesn't matter.
I see.
It doesn't matter. But and also depending on the product as well. I mean, young married with young families also.
Yeah.
So it's really a very broad spectrum.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, John. It's been a lot of fun talking to you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much, Shirley.
And I've learned a lot about the market and then about cars.
Thank you. Thank you.
But thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching, people. I'm Shirley Lin.